Hi class, my name is Jennifer Wooten. My presentation will be focused on the cultural differences between Germany and the United States of America. Humans create culture. Culture can be developed in a country, in a region, in a city, in an organization, or even a family. The culture that people are accustomed to affects every fiber of their being. Culture affects the way someone eats, the way they hold their shoulders back, the way we engage with others, both in speech and body language. Alan W. Watts, a British author and philosopher, pens this concerning culture. We seldom realize, for example, that our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own, for we think in terms of languages and images which we did not invent, but which were given to us by our societies. As was mentioned before, these sometimes hidden thoughts and emotions affect so much of what people do. This can especially be the case in business. If one does not have a firm grasp on the cultural expectations of the individuals involved in a business transaction, business ties could be hindered or even squandered. Thankfully for the modern business person, a great amount of research has been conducted and tools and techniques have been developed to identify and quantify cultural differences among many diverse nations. The comparison model presented and perfected by Geert Hofstede will be used to compare the cultural frameworks of the United States of America and the Democratic Republic of Germany. Geert Hofstede was a Dutch social psychologist. He was the pioneer of cultural comparison research. He defines culture as the following: the collective programming of the mind that distinguishes the members of one group or category of people from others. Geert Hofstede examined cultures through a lens that he developed. His cultural lens includes 6 dimensions used to compare cultures. The 6 dimensions include the following: power distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence. These dimensions can be seen as spectrums on which a culture can land anywhere from low to high. Germany at a glance. Germany is a federation comprised of 16 mostly independent states. 81 million people live in this nation, and 91.5% of these people are native Germans. Germany isn't the largest European nation, but it is known as the powerhouse of the European Union. As you can see on its geographical location, Germany has a very important location as it borders many different European nations. Nearly 70% of the population of Germany claim to be Christian. This population is evenly split between the Protestant and the Catholic denominations. Now we will look at Germany in comparison with the United States using Hofstede's comparison model. The first dimension we will discuss is power distance. Power distance conveys to what extent a culture elevates or is equally level with those of higher rank within an organization. According to Geert Hofstede's website, it suggests that a society's level of inequality is endorsed by the followers as much as by the leaders. So, with this in mind, where do the United States of America and the Republic of Germany fall on this spectrum? Using Hofstede's model, the USA scored a 40, Germany scored 35, and we will compare it to the world average score of 55. These numbers show us that both the United States of America and Germany are relatively lower on the spectrum of power distance. This means that there is a general respect allotted to authority figures, but this respect is also coupled with a sense of understood camaraderie and creative encouragement. According to Eleanor Bruckel, German leaders motivate their people to collectively contribute their time and effort. their creativity and thoughts on innovation for better products. They stimulate the personal growth of their employees, which contributes to a successful organization. However, Brukel goes on to say in the same article that the acceptance of hierarchy in business and society, the social rules and importance of social status, are still related to the structure and mentality of old class-based society. So, while there may be an evolving view of leadership and power distance in this country, those traveling to Germany should know that communication should still be approached with due reverence and respect, particularly for the older generation. Someone from the United States should be very considerate with the word choices made upon introduction, because the Germans value a first impression very highly. This could severely affect future communication for the good or for the bad. Despite personal or cultural opinions, the Bible is very clear with instructions on giving and showing respect. Leviticus 19:32 says, "Rise in the presence of the aged, show respect for the elderly, and revere your God. I am the Lord." Hofstede's second dimension that we will look at is individualism. With this dimension, as with the others, there are two sides of the spectrum. On one end we have individualism, and on the other end we have collectivism. According to Hofstede, on the individualist side, we find societies in which the ties between individuals are loose. Everyone is expected to look after his or herself and his or her immediate family. On the collectivist side, we find societies in which people from birth onwards are integrated into strong, cohesive in-groups, often extended families, which includes uncles, aunts, grandparents, which continue protecting them in exchange for unquestioning loyalty. On Hofstede's scale, Germany, the U.S., and the worldwide average scored 67, 91, and 43. This is one of the more extreme scoring differences for the United States and Germany. With a score of 91, the United States is a very individualistic nation. Although the German score is closer to the world average, it is still significantly higher. In this case, all three of the numbers examined are showing a great variation. Differences in this score can greatly affect a business's sense of motivation. With the United States score of 91, or high individualism, it is clear that most motivation would be rooted in self-pride and self-advancement. Ranking lower on the spectrum, Germans would be more inclined to make decisions with the group as a whole in mind. Hofstede's third dimension is masculinity. As the title would suggest, the spectral opposite of this is femininity. On his website, Hofstede explains that masculinity refers to the distribution of emotional roles between the genders, which is another fundamental issue for any society to which a range of solutions are found. On Hofstede's scale, Germany scored a 66, the United States scored 62, and the world average is 50. Germany still remains surprisingly traditional in its role of women in the workplace, as explained by World Business Culture. Although more and more women are making inroads into more senior positions in German companies, it is noted that Germany lags behind many other European countries in its progress in this issue. This could greatly inhibit teamwork between the U.S. and German business people in certain situations. For example, if a businesswoman from the U.S. is sent to lead a proposal to a traditionally minded German company, teamwork could greatly be lacking. The fourth cultural dimension in Geert Hofstede's model is uncertainty avoidance. According to Hofstede himself, uncertainty avoidance deals with a society's tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. Uncertainty avoidance describes the level to which individuals will be comfortable in an unfamiliar situation, in which the outcome is more or less unknown. In this dimension, Germany scored 65, the USA scored a 46, and the worldwide average is 64, right in there with Germany. With these numbers in mind, a German business person would be much more comfortable with strict guidelines and well-predicted outcomes. A business person from the U.S., on the other hand, would come into situations with more flexibility, and open-mindedness. Sylvia Schroll-Machel describes the German business approach to uncertainty by saying German business people prefer contracts and written agreements of all types. The existence of these things and their tight and consistent applications, the adherence to them and the rigid consequences, or even penalties for not complying with them, is in stark contrast to other cultures such as the United States. The fifth dimension of Hofstede's cultural model is long-term orientation. With the scores of 26 for the U.S. and 83 for Germany, this is by far the most contrastingly different cultural world views for the U.S. Americans and Germans. The world average fell between these two nations, scoring 45. Long-term orientation is the counterpart of short-term orientation. According to the Hofstede Center, this dimension describes how every society has to maintain some links with its own past while dealing with challenges of the present or future. And societies prioritize these two existential goals differently. Also, according to this site, with regard to the low score of the U.S., American business measure their performance on short-term basis, with the profit and loss statements being issued on a quarterly basis. This also drives individuals to strive for quick results with the workplace. Contrasting this with Germany, the Hofstede Center says the following. Germany's high scores of 83 indicates it is a pragmatic country. In societies with a pragmatic orientation, people believe that truth depends very much on the situation, context, and time. They show an ability to adapt traditions easily to change conditions, a strong propensity to save and invest, thriftiness, and perseverance in achieving results. The final dimension proposed by Hofstede is indulgence versus restraint. According to Geert Hofstede's website, indulgence stands for a society that allows relatively free gratification of the basic human drives related to enjoying life and having fun. Restraint stands for a society that suppresses gratification of needs and regulates it by means of strict social norms. The United States scored a 68, and Germany fell quite lower on the spectrum, scoring a 40. As was mentioned before, the German people are known for their discipline and orderliness. This order and intention holds true to the way that they spend their time and money. According to Brian Rohan, Germans traditionally are more likely to save than spend, and this wouldn't change significantly even if they earned higher wages. This is encouraged in the Bible in Proverbs 13:22, where it says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous." The United States, on the other hand, is commonly known for its national indulgence. The United States is very opinionated and often gives in to its desires to achieve what is viewed as ultimate happiness in the moment. The United States has created a reputation of self-indulgence and instant gratification. This is an area that the Christians of the United States must stand against. The Bible teaches us to let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Culture separates us. Culture unites us. Culture can either be used to help or hinder a multitude of situations. Whether you find yourself working in the United States, Germany, or somewhere else abroad, the Bible encourages us in Romans 12 to strive for peace and understanding among all. It says, "Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all." Businessmen and businesswomen, especially Christians, must put in the necessary effort to become familiarized with foreign cultures. The familiarity of other cultures levels the playing fields. It opens doors. An understanding of culture makes a comrade out of a stranger. Again, I'm Jenny Wooten. Thank you for listening to me.